Okay, folks. Hello, my name is Gabby Harris. I'm with the Cattle Raisers Association office, and I'm going to be your facilitator for today's April Ranching 101 class. We have Jimmy Curtis and Jacqueline Lewis with us from Cattle Soft Inc. And we're very excited to host them and have them spread their knowledge with us on today's topic. I did want to go through just a couple of I guess, normal announcements ahead of the class. We did want to let you guys know that next month's class will be on May 18th, again at 1 p.m. and virtual. And the topic will be Your Land, Your Legacy, and the Law with Joe Patronella, Assistant Vice President, Attorney of Capital Farm Credit. He's going to discuss the common laws facing new cattle producers, such as lease agreements, fencing laws, liability, and more. The topic after that will be hosted on June 20th, again at 1 p.m. virtually, and will be nutrition will be the topic. The speaker will be Levi Truenbach and Justin Axman, who are both nutritionists with the Livestock Nutrition Center. And their topic again is going to be nutrition and what the cow really needs. So outside of that, we did also want to mention our convention has been moved from March this year to July 23rd to the 25th. It is still going to be hosted in Fort Worth at the Convention Center and is in person. So we are very optimistic that we'll be able to pull off a normal event as usual, be able to host the same amount of people and the same amount of booths. We're very, very excited about that possibility. And we did want to let you know that registration is slated to open next Monday, April 26th, but it will not open up until noon. So don't be looking for it in the morning. Just look for it out after 12 p.m. on Monday, April 26th for the registration to open. So anyways, if y'all have questions about that, feel free to direct them to our office or our email or whatever is easier for you guys. Throughout the class, we will be monitoring the Q&A and chat box. Jacqueline or myself will be watching those places. So if you do have a question or have issues with anything, just feel free to ask it throughout the program in the Q&A or chat box. We'll also have some time at the end of the class to do questions and answers as well. Do want to also make a quick mention that Lone Star Ag Credit is still our sponsor for Ranching 101. So we certainly appreciate their support with this class. And I guess with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Jimmy and Jacqueline and let them introduce themselves and move forward with the class. Thank you all.
Right. Thank you, Gabby, very much. We're happy to be here. I'm going to be a gentleman, and I'm going to let Jacqueline introduce herself first, and I will do second. So, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Jimmy. My name is Jacqueline Lewis. I am from Cheyenne, Wyoming. My family owns and operates a cow-calf operation here about 20 miles north of town. We have approximately 400 head that we're trying to keep track of. And I've been with Cattle Max for 10 months now and have been enjoying it. So I thank you for having me today. And thanks, Jimmy.
All right. Thank you, Jacqueline. And my name is Jimmy Curtis. I've been around quite some time. Manage a cow-calf operation here in Northeast Texas, north of Texarkana, which I know this is a Texas class, so you all know where Texarkana is. But I was there for 26 years. We had 1,000 cows. We backgrounded calves, our own calves. Even for a while, we were in the registered business, so we had a few registered sales throughout. Sold a lot of, back when oil was king and lots of high dollar cattle. My wife and I now live in DeKalb, Texas, which is about 35 miles west. We have a lot smaller herd now. We do Charolais, Little Red Angus, and we have some Herefords as well. And so we're still very much in the cattle business. I joined the Cattle Max team just under 6 years ago. And so I have been doing the online classes for them. And of course, we go to the trade shows. So when you come to the Cattle Raisers, be sure and drop in and speak. We'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. As Gabby said, if you have questions, reach out to either her or Jacqueline, either one, and they will stop me. So if you have a question on a slide that I'm going through or a topic that I'm covering, and let's go ahead and just ask it right then. If you don't have one then, but you think of it later, that's fine. We will cover it at that time or at the end. So we're pretty much just going to cover our basic ranch record keeping, just exactly how the basics and where to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about CattleMax, but I'm not going to dwell on it a whole lot. We are a cloud-based software company, and we've been around since 1999. It was started by a couple of Aggies from the Bryan College Station area, and they still own the company. We are a rancher-based team, and we have team members there in Texas. You can see Montana, Illinois, Wyoming, Missouri, and Idaho. Every one of our customer service representatives all still have cattle, raised cattle. So when you call in and ask for support from us or need anything, you are talking to a fellow rancher. We are scattered over 70 plus countries around the world. So we kind of get a whole lot of different questions. As you can imagine, calving seasons are totally different, breeding seasons, even the way animals are sold and purchased are different across the world. So we get a little bit of all of that. And you can see we have CattleMax. We do sell the ear tags, electronic identification through our cattle tag store. And then we sell true test equipment through our cattle scale store. So that's going to be about my biggest push on anything right there. So let's just kind of get started on ranch record keeping and see how it's evolved over the years. And as you can see, the caveman had a really tough time using a stone tablet. Can you imagine what his records would be like as when he got ready to sell one, or if one died or had I don't guess you call it calving. I don't know what you call it when the dinosaur has offspring, but trying to keep those records. Then we evolved into the 20th century and we got pencil and paper. The Big Chief tablet is some of our older guys like Nathan talk about Big Chief tablet #2 pencil. And the cowboy could better keep records. He could erase and fix his corrections a whole lot better than the caveman could on his stone. Then we move into record keeping in the 21st century. And it's all a whole lot easier. We can all have a smartphone or a tablet. So you could use spreadsheets or you could use a software application, which makes it a whole lot easier to share information with other members of your ranch, other people that are involved in your ranching operation, maybe your CPA or professor down the road that's helping you with your nutrition or anything like that. But to be able to add your records, as far as breeding and the calving and all that information, it's a lot easier today than it was even 10 years ago. Okay, so what are ranch records? And they're more than just cattle, as you can tell. I mean, yes, we're here about the cattle, but you also have to keep up with your equipment, your income and expenses. So if you're making any money, or actually, in my case, sometimes it's how much I've lost in a year. You can keep up with your contacts, the different veterinarians, sale barns, customers, keep up with all of their information as well. And then rainfall, and I'm really big on keeping up with rainfall. I have a rain gauge here, and every little drop of rain I notate and keep up with. And I use it as a small part of my tools to know, hey, maybe my calves are bigger this year because we got a little more rainfall, or we hit that drought, and okay, so they're lighter at weaning than we normally do. So I keep up with that. Notes, you can keep up with the different notes on the things that, remember to do this, or hey, we need to give these shots, or move these cattle, or check the water troughs, things like that. Then we have a calendar so that we can set up our calendars and know whether It's time to give our different shots, when to schedule a veterinarian to come out and to help out with what he's doing. Just anything. Hey, better not forget the kids' t-ball team, game, things like that. We all need to do that, because even though we're ranchers and we have to tend to our ranch, we still have to keep our personal life in check as well. And so then we come up with, also to-do lists. And that, to me, to-do list and notes are sort of similar, but you can set up to-do list to, like you say, make sure you check the water trough, schedule the veterinarian, schedule the fertilizer to come out, things like that. So all of this boils down into our ranch records in some form or fashion. So why do we keep cattle records? So I keep records, and I'm going to say a lot of this is me, because this is just the way I've been around cattle my whole life, and I want to know which one of my cows are truly productive and which ones need culling. Because you go out in the pasture and you can always see there's always that really nice, fat, slick cow that really looks good. Maybe she gives you a calf every year, maybe she doesn't. And then you got the cow over here, you take your friends out there, you really hope she stays hid behind the rest of them. But she has a calf every year as well. Well, when you're keeping your ranch records, maybe the one you ought to be showing off is the one that's not near as fat. She might actually be putting all of her, everything she eats and all into her calf and raising a lot bigger calf than your showy kind of fat cow. So we need to be able to know which ones are truly productive by keeping records on their calves every year and being able to look through them. And then which ones you need to make a list of to get rid of next time you get them to the pens. Keeping cattle records also will demonstrate the goal of running a ranch as a business. And why is this important? If you need to go to the bank to borrow money to buy more cows or buy that new tractor or trailer, or you go to the credit union for the same reason, and they ask you, said, well, you got to show me that you can pay this loan back. So they're going to want to see your cattle records as far as, how productive your cattle are, your income and all this, so that they know, okay, well, you're making enough to be able to afford that nice tractor that you want, and we will loan you the money. Same goes, and right into that is being able to track your sales and your purchases for your taxes and accounting. We keep records on everything on our ranch. And so it makes it really easy at the end of the year to run us a report or two to take to our accountant. So we've got all the cattle that we've bought, or semen we've bought, or anything like that, new equipment, and then everything that we've sold as well. So, if we got rid of some cattle, we need to know which ones, so they come off the depreciation schedule, whether they had any still had any life to them or not on the books. So my tax accountant really appreciates it, because he doesn't have to look down through there and say, oh, well, what is this $5,000 number here? Who'd you sell, or what'd you sell? Real easy for me just to hand him the report. It adds up to the $5,000, for example, and he's all good to go. You can also manage your customers. Yes, even if you're in the commercial cattle business, you're still going to have customers. You're going to have those that, buy your cattle at the sale barn, or maybe you have order buyers that buy them off your ranch. If you're a registered breeder, yeah, you want to be able to keep up with those that come buy bulls from you, or heifers, or pairs, and be able to make notes on all of them as to what they actually like. I keep up with all of my customers. In my previous time, we dealt with a lot of order buyers. We dealt with the bigger sale barns like Oklahoma City. And, and then we even worked for a while with Laura's Lean Beef, and all the records and who to contact when it's time to come look and ride through and figure out what they're actually going to give me for my cattle. The last one is more about whether you're a registered breeder or not. And so you have to be able to keep up with all of this data somewhere, turn into your breed association. Like I said, I have Charolais and I have Hereford cattle, and I got a couple of Red Angus. So I'm dealing with 3 different breed associations. They all collect different information. So when it's time for me to register, it's kind of hard for me to sit down here and then go to scratching my head. Well, was the nose light or dark? Did it nurse okay at birth? Things like that. So that all goes into ranch records as well, so that when you do sit down to fill out these papers or to look at your cattle to know whether you want to keep them or cull them, all of that plays a little bit of a factor into making those decisions. And I like this quote down here from Peter Drucker. And Peter Drucker was one of the foremost economists around. And it's just like it says, you can't manage what you can't measure. And this is what we always try to live by since I heard it since 1993. I have been using that to, if we can't measure it, then it's very hard to manage. Okay. All right, how to get started. And this is the biggest thing that everybody asks us pretty much on a daily basis, that we just don't even have any idea where we get started. So as it says, you need to gather all your records, whether on paper, spreadsheets, oil can, box tops, anything like that. And yes, I'm as guilty as anybody of thinking of a note and not having a piece of paper and rip the top off of a box and then hope I can keep up with it till I get home. So when you get ready to start keeping your records, the first thing you want to do is have a list of your active cows and bulls. And when I say active, I mean those that are living, breathing, walking on your ranch. So you want to make sure you've got those first. Then you want to make sure you've got all the breeding records on those animals. Maybe some it's time to breed. Maybe some it's time to pregnancy check. Maybe some of them are actually fixing to calve. So we need to know those kind of records so you can treat each one of them differently, know whether you can, check on them every couple of days, or you need to go check on them multiple times during the day. If you had heifers calving, sometimes you really want to keep a really close eye on them. Then those that already are pairs, you want to add their calves in there so that comes into your inventory as well. Then you add in pasture details. What's the pasture name they're in? Is it Bermuda grass? Is it fescue? Is it whatever kind of grass? Is it rough? Is it muddy? Things like that. And then you can, if you want to keep photos, we have several customers that like to meet up at the coffee shop every once in a while and show off a picture of that new calf. So with everybody having a smartphone, it's really easy to gather those pictures and show them off. Excuse me. Then we want to add in all of our treatments. And when I say treatments, it's the same as shots, your dewormers, your Vibrio Lepto, your blackleg shots, anything else you might give along the way, so that they're up to date, or when the last time it was given, so that it gives you an idea when the second go round or the next treatments are all ready to do. So once you add all of your active inventory, as I like to call it, all this is active current records on your cattle so that you can keep going day to day. Then on these rainy days, or in Texas, it gets really hot coming up here. Well, we hope it's going to get hot. It's going to 35 degrees at my house tonight, but when it gets really hot and you don't want to be out there in the sun or anything like that, then you can add your historical records so that you can keep up with, you can look back farther and actually see how that cow's done, add in all their past calves or their past breedings and see which bull actually did the best job on that cow, or which bull did overall best in your herd. So we have some of our customers, they come in and they want to start with, hey, we want to start adding our cows from 2000 and work forward. And that's when they get burned out. trying to find the time to add all that data and then move it forward on the proper dates. So we always say that if you're going to start with your cattle records, start with your active inventory as of today so that you can keep going forward, and then add that historical data on the bad rainy days, the hot days, days it's too cold to go out. Okay. All right, so different records to track. And I'm going to start off on this slide by saying what you track is where you feel comfortable being. This is not what you have to do to keep records. This is just an idea of different types of records to track. So if you start out, maybe you only want your inventory, your breeding and your treatments, things like that. But as time goes on and you're keeping up with those, then you add more in. So just like our production records, the inventory, like I talked about, have the inventory of your animals, where they are, in what pasture, what stage of their breeding history they're in, where they are on their preg checks or their calving. So you got to keep up with if the cow has a calf every year or she's just costing you a bunch of money. Then we want to move into our performance records. And like I say, a scale system is very nice to have. They are expensive. You have to look at them as an investment more than anything. So you figure out something like that. Your birth weights, you know, you can buy these scales with the sling and capture the birth weight on your calves. This is important just to know if your bull is actually good for calves, for heifers, or if you can use him on cows, where all that falls. Excuse me just a second. So then you want to know at weaning, you know, it's your 205-day weight. Is that cow actually putting all she can based on the forage that she has, maybe any feed you help her out with? You want to make sure that she's putting all she can into that calf. You know, we want to try to get as high a percentage as we can. We were just looking at our records, and our Charolais cattle are running about 52% at weaning. Their calves are of what they weigh. Our cows will average, well, we weighed them yesterday, and their average coming out of winter is about 1,425 pounds. So on average, they give us a 700-pound weaning weight calf at 205 days, which we were really surprised at the winter we had this year and that week of snow. So then you want to, if you keep them past weaning, you know, your replacement heifers, things like that, you want to kind of have a target weight, I call it. We do on our place is what we like our heifers to weigh at a yearling for replacements. And for our Charolais cattle, that's 1,000 pounds. For our Hereford cattle, it's a little bit lower. We're very new in there, but we're looking at that 850 to 900 pounds. And then when we get into our Red Angus, they're pretty much hanging right there with the Hereford cattle. And then if you keep anything past that, maybe you keep a steer, you want to get them a little bit older, you turn them on grass and keep them until they're sure enough, big enough to sell. You want to be able to keep up with those gains. Make sure you've got enough forage out there and they're actually gaining and not just standing still, wasting your time and your money. When we get into our health records, and this can be very important, you know, our medical treatments, a lot of them have withdrawals, a lot of them have boosters. So you sure don't want to give a bunch of shots yesterday, like we did our herd work yesterday. I wouldn't want to give a bunch of shots and then carry them to the sale barn Saturday. Not everything we gave has zero withdrawal. Some of them have, you know, 14 days, 21, and I think long range goes out there a pretty good ways. So you need to keep up with the treatments that you give the animal and know exactly how long they're in withdrawal before you can send them to the sale barn or whatever form of method you're using to sell them. You keep notes. I mean, we keep notes all the time on our cattle. We go out Maybe it's not time to start breeding these cattle yet, but if I see them in heat, I write it down. So it makes it really easy come breeding season to go back and look and say, okay, she was on heat this day and this day and this day, and they're all about maybe 18 days apart. So then I can look at it and say, well, okay, project out. She ought to be in heat on this day. I know maybe to give her a little bit more time watching her on heat. Maybe I see a cow that's limping, or we just had a cow that calved last week and didn't completely clean up. So we made a note on it. That's the first time in the history of this cow that she didn't clean up after calving. But we have a note on that, and I can tell you that because there are no previous notes on that cow. Keep up with your pasture movements. If you got more than one pasture, you need to just know how they're moving around. How long is that pasture holding up under that grazing pressure? Do you have too many cows on there and have to move them too quick? I should have put pasture notes on there as well. We make notes on when we spray our pastures for weeds, or lately every year it's been the army worms that we've had to spray multiple times for. But also keep up with, what fertilizers I put out, what rate. So I know a lot about my pastures, chemicals, fertilizer, if we hit a drought, or if it was a really wet and got real muddy. I even make notes on where I need to drag ditches. So I try to keep up with everything that I can. I'm not going to say it's really easy, but Sherry, my wife, is really good at helping me keep up with these notes. Then you want to get into your financial and tax records. Of course, you want to be able to keep up with any purchases, sales. You got to keep up with your death loss, because that's a cost on you at the end of the year as well. That means you've got a cow that if she lost a calf, then she's got no income for you this year. Or if you lost the cow, well, that's still lost income because she's not going to have a calf. Then you keep up with your income and expenses. We got to buy diesel fuel for that tractor. Just like I was talking about, the fertilizer, the chemicals, you got to have mineral for your cattle. If you got to buy fencing material, even if you have to keep up with labor, you need to keep up with that as well. It all comes into being able to report this to your CPA, or you, if you do your bookkeeping, it all plays into the effect of your taxes. Sorry, guys, my throat's a little sore. So then if you get into the seed stock records, if you're a registered breeder, of course, you want to keep up with your EPDs. That's a tool that helps you determine how to make your cows and your bulls and how they're going to work. We've shifted from so much performance on our place. We're now looking more at carcass, how the cattle are doing as far as carcass goes. And we're actually even crossbreeding some of our Charolais cows with a red Angus bull. And we've increased the yield grade on our cattle. Of course, you want to be able to keep up with your pedigree, so you make sure you don't mismate any animals. And then, of course, you keep up with your semen inventory. And if you do embryo transfer work, you want to keep up with what your inventory is of embryos and which animals you actually put them in, so that when that calf hits the ground, you're not scratching your head or actually having to do a DNA test. Okay.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yes.
You have a couple questions.
Okay.
One question is, can cattle records be transferred to other ranchers that buy cattle from you?
Well, yes and no. If you're talking about if you have a group of calves and you sell all the calves, as far as taking electronically everything you've done and moving it, at this time we cannot. But you can run reports and hand them actually and save them as a spreadsheet and send them that way. So yes, it's not just go in and make you a list and everything that goes with them and send it to another CattleMax user. But as far as if you're selling your calves, and I'll tell you that when we sold the Lars lean beef and we were selling 500 head at a time, or if we were shipping them to Oklahoma City, we'd do the same thing. I would print out the animals, of course, a form of identification. We had his electronic identification number, his birth date, any kind of vaccinations or anything that would throw them out of the, especially the large lean beef. They had their own regulations on what you could or could not give, but also the date of their last vaccination. So everybody knew they were out of withdrawal. So I would send those as paper copies with one of the truck driver, but I would also print this out and send it electronically to the buyers. So does that kind of help?
I think so. And I guess if that person has other feedback, they can send it to the box. They also ask, is there a way to record multiple vaccines given to cattle in a single session so you don't have to enter vaccines one at a time?
Yes, and I'm assuming they're asking in Cattle Max.
What?
So, okay. All right. Yes. Not to get too deep into the Cattle Max part of it, but yes, if you have a group of cattle, and it is like most cattle ranchers, I would think, you get up a pasture of cattle and you don't go out there and randomly pick a few here and there out of the pasture. So if you've got your cattle in a pasture, we have a checkbox down the left-hand side, and you can select every animal in there, or you can just select the ones you want to and do what we call a group update. And so you can go to that. Once you do a group update, you can pick whether you're going to change pastures with them, add breedings, treatments, all kind of different things. So you put that treatment in there for your dewormer or whatever vaccine you're giving them, and fill in the information that you want to fill in, far as withdrawal, booster dates, the reason for the dosage, where you gave the shot or poured the dewormer on or whatever. And when you hit update, it's going to update every animal you have, whether that's one animal or 250, 500, whatever you select to give that treatment to. So you can do that, and then you can turn around and add another one. So you can do one for deworming, you do one for your Vibrio lepto, or we have a lot of customers that don't want to see the individual on there, and so they'll just create like a spring herd work treatment. And then in the comments, they'll put what dewormer, what Vibrio lepto they gave, what black leg or whatever else. And it's a one-time, one entry. So at any time you want to go back and see, you can go to that animal, look at that treatment, and it will show you everything you gave at that time. Okay. So yes, we can do that.
Sounds good. And we had another user basically comment back about that first question on transferring records. He must also be a current Cattle Max user, because he just said he was taking screenshots of the animal and sending that information to the buyer. So that was kind of in response to that first question.
Okay.
He did also follow up with an additional question and said, in regards to your software, can you make it so that you can add a picture of the vaccine instead of inputting the whole serial number in?
That is actually, Gabby, on our feature list. We do lots of programming and stuff during the summer to add new features. That is one of the new features that we're talking about adding at this time. So that, yes, you could take a picture of that information and have it right there available.
Awesome. I think that cleared us out for a little while, so you can proceed on.
Okay. All right. So let's move to the next slide. So investing in a ranch record keeping system. Well, I mean, there's many different ways. I mean, you could get a Big Chief tablet, #2 pencil if you don't have many, and you've got a minimal amount of investment in there. The problem runs in is you don't have a way to share that information very well, just like we were talking about. You can't run reports on that very well. So mostly what we're going to be talking about on a ranch record keeping system is like software. You got to have some hardware to go with it, your computer, You need to be able to have a chute that you can run the cattle down through. They have to be identified. Now, we have people that don't tag cattle and they just run them and they see their check at the end of the year and, man, I made money. But they have no idea what their input is. So we do recommend that you identify each animal individually, whether it's a dangling ear tag, a brand you can put on the side, an electronic identification, or a multiple of all of those. The setup time. So yep, you're going to have to put some time in being able to tag your cattle, entering the records, learning all the different components that go along with it. And then your update time. So yes, you got to spend a little time updating your records, just like it says, birth, sales, treatments, pasture movements. Now, I will tell you that when I was still back on the big ranch, Cattle Max first moved to the cloud. And I was really pushing for this because this would make it so much easier because, as you know, you take these records down on paper or that cardboard top or something like that. You hope you didn't lose it before you got home. Well, then you had to either take time from the family and go enter it in the computer, or you had to let the kids go to bed, which mine were younger then, and then go sit in there at the computer. So when it went to the cloud and we used iPads, we'd be calving, 400 head in the fall, 600 in the spring. Two of us checked the calving counts. We each had an iPad. So when you caught that calf and you tagged it and you could see the cows tagged, we entered all that into Cattle Max online and our record keeping was done. So when I went home, unless I actually needed to run a report to send to somebody, I had no time at the computer at night. So to me, the update time got really easy. We didn't have near as much, I didn't have near as much to keep up with. So that falls into the returns because it does save time once you're set up and you stay up to date on it. I didn't spend a lot of time just sitting down here at the computer typing in records. We just got them all done, intended to, as we did that project. You have a lot better organization. So you let the software keep up with all that information on the animals. Your quality and your accuracy on things are a lot better than trying to remember on paper or copy and paste numbers out of a spreadsheet to another spreadsheet and hope you didn't get them transposed some kind of way. It makes it a whole lot easier to be understood by others so that when you're sharing that information, I could take my cattle records and go sit down with Gabby, and it makes it really easy for her to understand a whole lot about my ranch other than me pulling out my little calving book or my Big Chief tablet #2 pencil and say, well, this cow did, well, let me change pages and this over here, where you can just show a nice report or just go to that animal's record and see all of her breedings or calving or treatments, the whole 9 yards. When it comes to marketing, just like I mentioned, we sold to Laura's Lean Beef for many years. Well, Laura's Lean Beef had a protocol of, they sent us a list of what treatments we could give as far as dewormers, the Vibrio, Lepto, the blackleg. They all had brand names we had to use. Plus, then you could give 0 antibiotics. So we had to be able to prove by these reports that we only used their approved list of treatments and that none of these animals got antibiotics from the time they were born till they got on the truck. So it made it really easy for us to print that out. It made it easy on us as far as ranch hands. When we got the calves to the pens, we could print a list of those that maybe had the scours, and we gave them some kind of antibiotic along the way to sort those off because they were not allowed on the truck. So because we were able to do that, I apologize, we could somehow, or we did, demand a higher price. The same thing when we sold at Oklahoma City. We could provide the buyer with that same type of information when they were going on to the feedlot. Well, because of that, you start watching your sales tickets coming from those places and see that there were only 3 places in the United States that were buying our cattle. And they were the ones bidding against each other at the same time because they knew what they were getting when the cattle came from the ranch. So it does help you a whole lot on your marketing. Improved decision making, same thing. You got your records, the decisions on whether to keep this cow or to cull this cow, what to do with this heifer. Is she good enough to stay in our herd, or do we get rid of her? You know, do we put our fertilizer out this time of year? You go back and you look and you say, well, you know, every time I've put it out in, just to be crazy, in January, I've gotten 0 good out of it. But if I'll wait and put it out at 1st of April, man, it makes my grass explode and I've got plenty. So it goes into a whole lot of that decision making as well. All right, and then kind of about the last slide here is just shows you the benefits of web between paper, spreadsheets, and software. So you can see far as backup, I mean, easily read by others. Yeah, others can read spreadsheets. Right now we have a deal that we are importing your data from spreadsheets into our software at no charge. Well, I will tell you that some of the spreadsheets I get go out to AAA, you know, so I mean, there's just huge amounts of columns and trying to sort through the data. After a while, a spreadsheet just gets overwhelming with trying to keep up with the animal. It can be done. I'm not saying it can't, but it can be overwhelming to you. So all the different things, and like, I'll just say CattleMax is cloud-based. So you can use any smartphone, iPhone, or an Android, Mac computer, PC computer, doesn't matter. You can log in from anywhere and access your records. Because I can tell you, I use a Mac computer. Jacqueline's using a PC. So we're more heavily probably toward the Windows on our team, but we have a few more that are going toward a Mac. So anyway, that's kind of where my slideshow stops. So I'm able for questions or whatever we need to do, Gabby.
Right now, there's not any questions, so I guess you can press on, or I guess that maybe the end, isn't it?
Well, I mean, that's the last of the slides. I mean, I did like Emily said, kept it to about 45 minutes, and then we have questions, but we're in no rush to leave. If anybody's got a question, just ask away. We'd be glad to answer.
Okay, I just saw one over on the chat side. It says, what if you do not use CattleMax every year? Do you lose the information? What's the cost? And what if you just have 25 cows?
Okay. If you don't use it every year, no, you don't lose the data. We keep the data for a year. I will tell you that it is your data, that if you subscribe to CattleMax and say you use it for a year, 5 years, or whatever, and you decide that it's no longer viable, I don't want to use it anymore, or whatever, we're going to send you a copy of your data. Now, we keep a copy, like I say, for the 12 months, in case you change your mind after a while and decide you want to come back, your records are still there. The cost varies. It goes by different plans, but up to 100 head of commercial cattle is $9 a month. Or if you pay by the year, you pay for 11 months, $99. We give you the 12th month for free. Now, along with that, our support is all 100% free. We do not charge you when you call and need help, whether it's by phone, chat, email, or even these 101 classes, which we do right now on the average of 4 classes per month, free of charge. And they're open to anybody. You don't have to have Cattle Max to watch them. That kind of answer. If you got registered cattle, then it's going to be $15 a month or $165 a year. Same deal. Depends on whether you pay for a year or by the month. There's no contracts or anything like that.
I think there's some other follow-up. I believe y'all do kind of a trial period or like a demo period, which you may have mentioned. I'm sorry, people are walking kind of around this office. I'm a little halfway distracted, but there's some people just asking basically, are we able to see the Cattle Max software? Can we see some of the reports that it's going to generate, and then like the copy that you provide of the software, is it digital?
Yes, okay. That's several questions, Gabby, but I'm following you right along here. Okay, so yes, we offer a 21-day free trial. You can do your data in it. You can make up data, do anything you want to in the software. And, you know, I'm even known to be a little bit of a softie, and if 21 days is not enough and you reach out, then we'll allow some more time on that. During that 21-day free trial, if you're a registered breeder, you can import your cattle records in there and use them just like you want to. If you're a commercial cattleman, you can add your records in, or you can send us the spreadsheet and we will get your cattle records in for you. Allow you that 21 days to do anything you want to, create your pastures, treatments, you know, the whole 9 yards. If you decide at the end of that month or at the end of the second trial period, it's not for you, there's nobody going to call and beat you down, or, you know, oh, well, we let you do this or that. No, because we do realize Cattle Max is not for everyone, but we do allow you to use the software for 21 days for free. If you need more time, let me know. We can work out some kind of a deal. And if you enter your data in there and you decide it's not going to work for you, I'm going to send you a copy of everything that you put in there. I think that answered all of them, right?
Yeah, that was pretty much what I was looking for, just like a summary of how that all worked as far as the trial period went. Another person was asking, in your College Station office, do y'all accept walk-ins there?
We actually do not have an office. Everybody works remotely from their home. So even in College Station, that's where we're based out of, but we don't have a walk-in office. What kind of a question would you have to walk in for help or something, I guess?
I'm sure, yeah. So in that case, it would be best just to contact y'all via your phone number listed on the website.
Correct. Yes. The other thing is, even during the trial period, you don't have to sign up to get help. And so the support is 100% free. Like I say, you can call us, you can chat us, you can email us. We'll answer your questions. If you, maybe it's you and your husband, or you and your wife, or you and your team, or just you by yourself, we are gladly willing to set up a 101 screen sharing. The difference in that is we would be able to talk to each other and go through Cattle Max. So we do that. Like I say, we do 2 Cattle Max 101 classes a month. And if I can, we're doing one at 7 o'clock tonight, doing another one tomorrow at noon. And the way this class is set up is we'll take a blank Cattle Max account and I do the classes. We will add cows, we'll add a bull, we'll add the calves, we'll add the breedings, the pregnancy check, and then the calves, rebreed the cows. We'll do treatments. We'll even sell some cattle, so you can see how all this works. And so far, we've been able to do it in under an hour and answer questions all along the way.
Awesome. And I think Jacqueline's going through typing some answers to some of these questions, so that's good too. What someone was asking, why is the registered cost more, and can you keep horse records with this software?
Okay, the register records cost more because one, you're going to be able to interface with most breed associations. So that means that if you're a registered breeder and you're with somebody, and I'm just pulling out the air, Angus, Charolais, Hereford, Beefmaster, Brahman, and a whole bunch of others, you can contact the association. They'll give you a file with all of your animals on it that can import into CattleMax. So your cows, your bulls, your calves, their EPDs, their pedigrees, their performance data that you've turned in is all there. And actually your account's ready to go, other than you just putting your cattle in the proper pasture. And so you can go from there. The register ones, like I say, do have an interface where most of them, as you calve your cows and collect your data on them, the calves go to the interface. You are able to select the calves when you're ready to register them, create an electronic file, send it in. When the file comes back, it will add the registration number of the calf, fill in its pedigree, update its performance, and all that information. So plus then you also have option to use embryo transfer as well, if that's something you're into. So it actually has more features than the commercial plans do. And as far as keeping horses, yes, we have customers that keep goats and sheep in there. Just know that your stallion's going to be known as a bull, your mare's going to be known as a cow, because it doesn't change. But you do have the option, if you're breeding them, to change the gestation period on those animals so that it will come out right. Your horses or sheep or goats or whatever, because it is different from the cows.
You had some good feedback. Someone said, this looks like what my husband and I need. We have 29 mama cows, 14 stockers, 16 calves, and we have grown over the past couple of years, and our big chief notebook system is failing. That sounds like a good time to key you in there. So
yes. So
okay, there's another question out here. Do you recommend using a tracker for a lead cow in a herd to track their pasture usage?
I've never used one, so I honestly don't even know who sells one. I mean, in our herd, well, I keep going back to the bigger ranch because it's larger. And then we have our my small ranch right now only has 3 pastures to it. I've only got 30 head, real easy to follow. I am a huge proponent of using the 840 EID tags. One is just for USDA compliance. Calf foot vaccination now recognizes that, since our metal clips have gone away. But we've been using EID tags since they came out 15, 18 years ago. I was laughing with the vet yesterday because we don't have a lot of people in our area that use EID tags. And so he was kind of picking at me about it a little bit. And I said, yeah, our first EID tags cost $8 a piece. They're now like $250, $260 a piece. So they're way cheaper than they are. If you run a lot of cattle like we did, and you've got people hollering out, hey, this is 85 or 185. Well, me, with all the balling of the pins, I might have misunderstood and thought they said 165. And so you write down the wrong number, and then here an hour later or the next day, well, here comes 165, and I go, whoa, we already worked her. So who did we miss? So we went to using the EID tags because, as you know, the numbers are not duplicated anywhere in the world. So it is a one number to that animal for life. And so we went to using that, so we knew exactly who came through the chute. When we loaded our trucks, we stood at the loading chute and we knew exactly who got on each truck. Our records got a lot cleaner once that happened. Now, I realize if you got 20 or 30 cows like I do, I know all of my cows. I can look across the pasture and tell you who's missing, just like I'm sure you can. But it makes it really nice. We weigh our cattle about 4 times a year. I don't even take any paper or pencil out there. I take an EID reader and a scale indicator, and I scan them, we weigh them, and import all that into CattleMax at the end of the day. So does that kind of answer the question, or did I get too much?
Yeah, I think that's good. We have another one that's saying, is there a recommendation for the number of cattle you should run to make CattleMax or a similar system worthwhile? When you use CattleMax, do you get access to the full system, or do you have to pay by module?
No, when you get CattleMax, you get the full deal. If you get, the only difference between the two plans is one's for commercial cattle, one's for the registered. The registered, like I say, gets EPDs, pedigrees, embryo transfer, and the breed interfaces. So the commercial has everything else that we talked about today as far as being able to keep up with. It's just if you're a registered breeder, you can have the other features added there. But as far as there are no modules for breeding or calving or anything, it is what it is. And it's a full, we've gone from being cattle software, which I should have changed my name, to ranch software. One of the cool features we just added in was you can keep up with your equipment and the maintenance on it. So you can keep up with oil changes and new tires, and when you put an alternator on it, it's such and such. And that's added to all the plans. There's no extra to that. We just added in that herd health feature last year as well. So as you give vaccinations or treatments, I'll say, and they have a withdrawal, you can go to one place and get you a list of every animal that's in withdrawal, to what treatment and for how long they're in withdrawal. And as that time passes, they drop off that list. So you don't have to try to run your report. Anything that needs oh, my mind just went blank, a follow-up treatment, because I can't think of what the word is, they're listed on there as well on a separate tab. So you can see everybody needs a booster. That's what I look for, a booster. Anybody that needs a booster is going to be listed on there, what treatment they got, and on what day they need to get a booster. And you can give those treatments right there. You don't have to go back to the pasture. You can give those treatments as you give them in that same screen, and they will fall off of that booster list unless it calls for another booster down the road. So yeah, there are no modules. It's $99 a year or $9 a month. You get up to 100 active animals. And when I say active animals, that's bulls, cows, and calves that are living, breathing, walking on your ranch. So as you sell them or they die, they do not count against your plan anymore, but you still have access to all of their records.
Sounds like a good plan. There's another kind of a doozy of a question. So how does the data and the information integrate into a comprehensive financial accounting system in order to manage and report cost of production, enterprise accounting, and other complete financial reporting requirements?
It does not talk to any financial software. Now, you can run the reports and get them into Excel, and if you can go from Excel into your financial software, your enterprise software, you can do that. One thing that CattleMax does not want to get into is competing with somebody like QuickBooks. So I'm just going to tell you up front, we will not get to that level. We have an income and expense. We also have what you can look and get an outlook of what your ranch looks like for the year, but it is very basic. If we added a QuickBooks type financial system to it, our prices would have to more than double. And so we're not financial people, we're cattle people. So it is very basic. But like I say, if you can export it to Excel or CSV, which CattleMax allows you to do, and can import it from there, then that's great. But I'm just telling you up front, we don't have the knowledge to support that or to tell you how to do it.
Okay. Does CattleMax allow any statistics on the data that you enter, or I guess have any ability to graph data?
We don't graft data at this time. It is on our feature list. It is something we are looking at this summer, as far as you talking about like gains or number of calves, things like that. Yes, we have quite a few things on our list that we have already started off some. We've still got a ways to go to get some of them implemented, but as far as graphing right now, no, there's no graphing abilities.
Okay, and how do you set it up where you can find out which cattle didn't come through or got missed, I guess, when you're running them through?
Yes, you can run your report and one of the column headings, and I usually make mine all the way out on the far right, is last treatment date. And so and then you sort by that last treatment date. So all the ones you missed will be at the top or the bottom, depending on which ascending or descending order you did. It makes it really easy to find out which ones didn't come through the chute on a certain day.
That makes sense. Someone was asking, how do they get in on your 7 p.m. class tonight?
Jacqueline, did you share that link? There's a link on our cattlemax.com site, but I'm hoping she's gonna.
I did not. Yeah, I can post that. I did not do that just yet, Jimmy.
Okay. Yes, if you would post that one, and if you would post the noon one for tomorrow as well.
Yeah, just post that over in chat, I guess. I think if you post it in chat, everybody can see it.
Okay. Yes, and please join us.
I'll tell everyone too that's participating, I don't think you'll find more user-friendly folks at CattleMax. They are always answering the phone. Anytime they've ever had a class here, they're very personable and answering questions with our folks and really down to earth. Sometimes some of this software stuff even goes over my head, and I know a lot of people have the same sentiment. So I like the fact that, they're very user-friendly, and it seems like, pretty much anyone can do it with any amount of cattle. So it's a good asset to have.
Yeah. Thank you, Gabby. Yes, our motto is ranchers helping ranchers. So like I said earlier, we all still live on our own ranches and tend to our own cattle. So you're not talking to somebody in a call center that has a book and you ask them a question and you hear the pages start flipping to find an answer. We all use the software, so we're all very familiar with it. We do occasionally run across somebody that uses it a little bit different, and there's not anything wrong with that. It's just a new way to do it, and that might catch us off guard a little bit, but 99.9% of your questions, somebody on our team has been in that same situation and will gladly guide you into fixing it or get you on the right path. And while I'm at it, CattleMax is cloud-based. So, I mean, like I say, you can access it from any device you want. CattleMax also allows you unlimited number of people that you yourself, not us, allow to help with your data. And because it is cloud-based, you can have somebody in the office entering in data. You can still have somebody out in the pasture on their smartphone adding in new calves, or maybe somebody down the road running reports. It can all be done at the same time. They do not have to be on the same devices. We do caution you that if you're the administrator on the account, then you give everybody else their own login information. We all know that we have employee turnover, and it makes it really easy to remove somebody once they leave your operation.
Okay, and we have another question about the software. If you have registered and commercial cows, would you need to buy the software for registered?
Yes, if you want to keep up with the registered records, you sure do.
And
But you
then,
can run the commercial in the same one.
yeah, I think that's probably what they're asking. Like if you have both, I guess you'd buy for register, but you can basically run for both. So,
Right.
and then you had a couple folks, a couple other panelists just chime in saying they use Cattle Max, no complaints. And we have another person saying, as a CPA and a rancher, I agree that ranch records are important. Thanks for a great presentation today. As a Cattle Max user, I highly recommend it. So lots of good praise.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
And I don't think we mentioned it. It's been a while since I've gone back in our discounts that we have, but I believe we still have a standing discount with you guys. So anyone that's a TSURA member can get a 10% off discount, I believe is what it is. So I think all y'all have to do is when you get set up, contact someone at Cattle Max and let them know you're a member and they can help handle that discount. But it is, I believe, 10% off.
Yes, you're correct. And the only thing we're going to ask is for your cattle raisers membership. I got tongue tied, couldn't remember the order of the letters.
That's okay. Yeah, cattle raisers works. Yeah, cattle raisers membership number. Yeah, and so if y'all don't have access to that, it usually is printed on your label for your magazine. It's towards the bottom, or if you don't have that handy, just give us a call or shoot us a note, and we can send that number to you and verify for you on that. And it also looks like Jacqueline was able to post links out in the chat box for the webinar that's happening this evening at 7 p.m. I'm sure there's also more information still out on your website, on the Cattle Max website for that, if y'all want to go to their website and look at that. I don't see any other questions that are floating out there besides that. So I don't know if you guys have any closing things y'all wanna say.
I just appreciate everybody taking the time. I appreciate the questions. I hope we took care of you or answered all of your questions. Like I say, Cattle Max is a cloud-based system, multiple users all at one time, multiple devices. We are all cattlemen ourselves, so we all use the software and have used it. Like I say, our motto is ranchers helping ranchers. So we want you to succeed in keeping your records and being able to make the proper decisions on your ranch. So if you have any questions, you don't even have to subscribe or even take the trial. But if you want to call and visit with any of us, feel free to do that. I can give our number, right?
Yes, yeah, feel free to
Okay.
give us the number.
Yes, we are located in Texas. We run on Texas time. So it's 800-641-2343. And somebody's there from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday at Central Time. And if you're on our website, or even now, if you're in your software, there's a chat button there that will get to us. We still only man it the same amount of time, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Or you can send an email to me. My email's on the screen, and you can also send it to Howdy, HOWDY, at cattlemax.com, and the first person that can get it will get you answered.
Sounds good. Well, in closing on that, again, the links for those follow-up classes with Cattle Max are in the chat box. You may have to scroll up on that to see it, but they said the top link is for the 7 p.m. class tonight. The bottom link is for the 12 p.m. class tomorrow. And if you do have issues seeing that or want more information, just go to the Cattle Max website and look into that. Hopefully y'all take advantage of that and see that. And then again, as a reminder, y'all do get 10% off if you're a current TSURA member, if you want to try out the software on that, and you do get that 21-day free trial. So we appreciate all your time today and hope everyone got their questions answered. We should be sending a follow-up of recording of this class within 2 days, so it'll probably go out on Thursday, and it'll just go straight to your email. So if you all have anything else or need anything, just feel free to give us a call here at the office or shoot us a note, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jimmy and Jacqueline. Bye-bye.
Thank you.